All right. So let's go ahead and check out the multiplayer reveal trailer that dropped today about 1:30 p.m. Central um, for the Battlefield 6. That was a huge sniper glint, I gotta say. Alright, explodey drones. The ladder mechanic, that's brand new, or whatever that is. Ramp. Playable ramps. Dog tags are back. Glad to see that. This reminds me of the finals, or BattleBit, breaking through the ground. That's an entirely new mechanic. We haven't had that yet. I'm really glad to see that. Also, the RPG, the site, that's also new. That's something that we did saw in BattleBit. F-16s, right? Nice to see some familiar locations, but I think this is like the New York and then Firestorm, obviously. Alright. Just take a quick moment. If you end up ordering the Phantom Edition, you get these. There's always obviously going to be microtransactions in the game, but it doesn't look too bad at all. I mean, it looks kind of in line with the theme of the game. Like, I know there's skins and microtransactions. You can't really avoid that, but they did a pretty decent job at the design. I guess it's not too like distracting, and it kind of blends in. And then this one for this LMG weapons package. Nothing crazy, right? Nothing like crazy rainbow, super highlight color orange, green and yellow or pink. So it's just all within like the sort of aesthetic of Battlefield. And then some of these icons, as long as it's not out in it's not, as long as it doesn't like distract you during the gameplay, it's fine. Alright, let's move on to the... Alright, so this is the next video. Classes and destructions, that's what they call it.
At the core of any great first-person shooter is the connection players have with its world. We know the things our players love about Battlefield and are elevating them to an even higher quality than ever before. Our class system's back, with new innovations to give players even more choice. Intense tactical combat, from the gunplay to the way you move across the battlefield, rebuilt from the ground up. Vehicles that feel weighty, powerful, and can change the tide of war.
And of course, destruction. Something Battlefield does unlike anyone else.
We heard you loud and clear. You want the class system back. Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon. An iconic formula for Battlefield. Each class features a signature weapon set, as well as class-exclusive gadgets and traits that define your role in the squad.
The Assault class are the frontline killers who punch through enemies' defenses to open a way for the rest of the team.
The destruction here is actually pretty
A
insane.
handy grenade launcher will rob enemies of their cover.
I think it's
while
more
flashbangs send them scurrying through line of
destruction
fire.
than Battlefield 2.
Cornered by the enemy, an adrenaline shot may be the difference between life and death. Assault's enhanced mobility, combined with the option to throw on an extra primary weapon, makes you a formidable force that can push deep behind enemy lines.
You need a deterrent for tanks, helicopters, fucking jets? That's when you call in the engineer. Armed with a satchel filled with rockets and mines, this class is all
Was
about
that
being a menace to the vehicles hunting your
SU-57?
allies. They're also the only class capable of repairing friendly vehicles, equipment, and weapon placements.
The support class is
Well, I'm
there to
glad
pull
that
your
they
ass
are
out of the
bringing
fight,
classes back.
throwing down
I know that
supply
there's going to be
crates,
separate
heals,
playlists
and ammo to keep you in the fight.
where you'll have
Support can lay down
like
deployable
servers
cover,
without
intercept
class
enemy
restrictions and
grenades
servers
and
with class
missiles,
restrictions.
and they're the masters
That's
of
for
the
both
machine.
worlds.
There is no better class to keep your squad in the fight when the odds are against you.
Recon is our tactical mastermind who provides vital information to the squad and stalks the edges of the battlefield, usually with a sniper rifle in hand to pull off the perfect headshot. With drones capable of pinpointing enemy positions,
Oh boy. Drones are in.
C4 that can cripple tanks and level buildings.
You know how
Laser
fun that was in
designated that will
BattleBit?
guide your allies' missiles right to their target.
For Battlefield 6, we've reapproached combat and rebuilt it from the ground up to create an experience the team calls the Kinesthetic Combat System. Designed to give you a wider range of tactical and reflexive options.
Oh,
during
they have the
heat of
roll
battle.
thing where you jump down from a
It's
certain
about
height
being
and you
aware of
can
what's
roll
around you.
a little bit to sort of recover
How
faster.
you move, how you shoot, and how to use destruction are all carefully balanced and work together to define this new system.
The animations are
With
pretty
Dragon
smooth,
Revive, you
like
can now
from
cross
like
no man's land to
standing
save a
to
downed squad
prone.
mate
That
by
was
pulling
that
them
was
to
pretty quick,
safety while reviving them.
and it wasn't just like stand
You can also
prone. It
lean
was
and
like
peek around
stand
corners.
transition
You can
on
mount weapons on
animation.
walls, crouch
Nice and
while
smooth.
sprinting, and even perform agile rolls
Crouch
while
sprinting,
escaping enemy fire.
rolling. This is the same one from
All vehicles
Yeah,
have been
5, I
tuned to
believe.
be more responsive and intuitive than ever before. Whether you're tearing across the sky in a chopper, raining bullets down on your foes, or rolling through the desert in a tank. The new Hitch a Ride ability lets
Glad
your
to see the
squad
focus
stay
on
together
tanks.
by expanding the number of spots available.
that's
for
a new
vehicles.
mechanic hitching.
And
That's
while
pretty
it's
cool.
easier to navigate with simplified control options, harnessing these war machines' full lethal potential requires the expertise of a pro.
We know you love destruction. And for Battlefield 6, we wanted to push destruction even further, both in terms of a spectacle and as a gameplay mechanic.
We're debuting a new iteration called Tactical Destruction that gives you even more options to own the battlefield. With
Yeah, being
countless
able to
ways
break through
transform the
walls,
environment.
floors.
Wall blocking your way?
I think
Try
they,
C4,
they
rocket
dialed it
launcher,
back to,
or your
you know,
handy
give 2
sledgehammer.
dis,
Squad firing on your team from above?
or
Take out
improving
the floor
over
beneath them.
what BF2 did right.
Or blow it all up. Climb over the rubble? Problem solved.
I think BF1 also did pretty good destruction too.
All these
Like if you ever
things
jump
come
back and play
together to
that,
create a genre-defining, must-play first-person
that
shooter
game's always
experience
fun.
you cannot get anywhere else.
I got the can't sight going. Canted iron sight. Alright, what's the next one? Maps, modes, and portal.
In Battlefield, you and your squad will be battling it out across a world drowning in turmoil. A world filled with epic battles for you to partake in. All
This
our
portal
spaces
mode
are
is
built
back.
for the experience you want as a player. Whether that's intense, close quarters infantry combat, or large-scale warfare with tanks, choppers, and jets. So let's start with where you'll be battling it out.
I'm still like, I see the
Battlefield
I think it's the
all over the
F-16
world.
chasing down the
Egypt and
SU-57, I think.
Tajikistan,
I
and
just
the
thought it was
streets
kind of
Brooklyn
funny.
in the US. At launch, we'll have 9 maps, including a remake of the classic Operation Firestorm from Battlefield 3.
Gibraltar is built to be up close
Gibraltar?
and personal. Smaller urban areas designed to support.
I'm not
close
sure, is that a
quarters
new
combat.
map or is that one from Battlefield 3? I don't know.
Egypt is all about infantry and land
Cairo.
vehicles,
I think Cairo's new.
while Tajikistan boasts scale, with epic settings that capture our
New,
all-out
but
war
it
experience.
has like some remnants of
Then there's
some of the
Brooklyn.
maps in Battlefield 3.
Being
Brooklyn
the
map
best
looks
of
pretty
both
cool.
scale and close quarters combat.
All of these maps
As long
are
as
built to
every
support
building
any
is
of
like
our
you can
variety of
enter,
modes with
you know,
custom
without any
layouts
like
that we call combat
invisible
zones
walls.
that have been rigorously
That'd be fine.
play-tested and iterated to ensure a thrilling, authentic battlefield experience. No matter where you're playing.
Conquest. Breakthrough. Rush.
All right, Conquest and Rush. Breakthrough's a new one.
Our all-out warfare trifecta of modes
Obviously, you're
delivers
gonna have
moments you can't
TDM
get in
domination.
any other game. And with Battlefield 6, giving you more ways to play, all infused
And then
with
there's a
Battlefield's
couple new
DNA.
more modes too.
Team deathmatch. Squad deathmatch.
Yeah, Squad Deathmatch is back.
Domination. King of the Hill.
King of the Hill. Okay.
In our newest addition to our all-out warfare experience called Escalation, where teams are pushed to a final climactic battle that we think our players will love. We've spent countless hours of playtesting these modes, both internally and alongside our Battlefield Labs participants, and working to refine them and make them feel true to Battlefield's brand of immersive warfare. You can
LA is
expect
back,
more maps,
that's for sure.
modes, and events as part of our post-launch
Urban
seasonal
animation.
content that we'll be telling you about closer to release.
And with the return of Portal, you can also build, share, and play your custom-created experiences.
This new
Oh,
more
here comes
powerful
Portal
version of
mode.
Portal will enable creators to use an updated toolset that features editing tools.
They're doing like
that will
parkour
let you
stuff
create
and
even
like
wilder experiences.
those sort of climbing sims.
That's not all. In Portal's newly redesigned verified mode, modifiers will allow players to set up hardcore rule sets with one-shot kills, closed weapons, and so much more, all with full progression and XP gain.
With updates to our UI and navigation systems, it will be easier
That's
than
pretty
ever to find
interesting.
and
I
share
haven't played
exciting
Portal
new
mode in
experiences
Battlefield
made with
2042,
Portal.
but it looks like a lot of things can be done in there.
We can't wait to see what you create, share,
And-
and play.
I mean, you can always rely on the community to come up with some really creative modes and missions. Okay, so I want to keep this. I want to at least keep this under 20 minutes or so. The I think so far so good. Now I think there's like 3 or 4 different categories that can make or break the game, right? There's, for me, there's gameplay, obviously, and that includes gunplay, and then what you can do within the level or the world. And then there is visuals, and then audio, and then the like not high on the priority is probably like narrative, so story, theme. But the first 3 are always like the big ones, right? Gameplay was, I think that they did a pretty good job with the gunplay in general. It looks very reminiscent of BF3. My only like sort of like nitpick on that is that the shooting looks a little bit too easy, but there's a couple things that I acknowledge is that they want to have the biggest amount of players to come in, right? They want to cater to a very large audience, and they want this game to go mainstream, right? So they have to kind of balance between casual and realistic gameplay. So it's obvious that they tuned the recoil and the way the gun shakes and stuff to be more easier to control. And that's been something that's been going on post Battlefield 3, right? Battlefield 3 for me was honestly, in my opinion, the perfect um gunplay for a shooter game, and probably like one of my top games in terms of, you know, just the way it plays out. So I liked how BF3 did it. This one looks fine, but I think that you can, this is where you can see the sort of the skills of the, I would assume some of these guys are like ex COD developers, and then, you know, obviously the team is being led by Vincent Pala, and then some other veterans from, you know, from Infinity Ward. But you could kind of tell where some of the gunplay kind of leans a little bit close to how old school COD kind of play, or like even with the like the modern COD, like Modern Warfare, the one that they came out in 2019, or Modern Warfare 2. You kind of see a little bit of overlap with how steady the gun is when you like full on auto fire it. So there's not enough, for me, there's not enough like, you know, upward movement, like enough recoil, enough like sort of shake to it to make it so that you had to play it like Battlefield 3 did, where you had to pop shot to land, you know, accurate shots. But again, it's not a huge deal breaker. It seems like a lot of people seem to be enjoying it and getting used to it. So for me, that's just like, as I said, that's just like a little bit of nitpick. And then the other thing is the audio. For me, my only like a little bit of slight gripe is that the gun sound, like the gunshot sounds, are a little bit cut like, right? Like it's very muffled and very like sounds kind of suppressed in a way. So I was watching the live stream today, and every gun that they whip out, the LMG, SMG, assault rifle, kind of sound very generic and synthesized. I know that they had to like, you know, that you create the sounds in some sort of like audio software, or I guess synthesize it and using a mixer. But I wish that they did what they did in Battlefield 3, and just took the raw recording of actual gunshot sounds and work around that. I know that that's a very tedious work to do and it's probably costly, but it can go a long way. Because what we're looking for in the next Battlefield is immersion and atmosphere, and audio is a huge part of that. You know, the gameplay I don't have a whole lot of complaints about the game's graphics. So like it looks fine, and I completely acknowledge that this is all a work in progress, and the final product may look different or sound different. You know, once it comes to the release date in October of the end of this year, so it might change. Who knows? But I was hoping for a little bit more realistic sound and realistic gunplay, right? Like for the sound, I was hoping that it would sound a little bit more metallic, a little bit more pop, a little bit more like how. And the best one I can compare it to is probably like IBF1, or I think the best sounding, like in terms of like audio, just in general, probably Squad and Insurgency. Ready or Not does a pretty good job too, but I think that Squad and Insurgency are probably as, you know, as close as we'll get to a realistic sounding game. Not perfect, obviously, but I like the direction that they took. Now, Battlefield 3 was, I think that they never really were trying to go a Milsim route, but they wanted to go keyword authentic. So Battlefield 3 and 4 probably some of the best sounding games that I've played, and I wish it leaned more closer towards there. But right now, it's not a huge, like it's not a game breaker for me. But I wish that things sound a little bit more, not necessarily louder, but a little bit more realistic. Yeah, I think that the gameplay pacing looks on par with BF3, but I think that they tuned up the aim assist a little bit too heavy. So you can technically laser with LMG in this game without having to. I think Scump was playing it earlier today and he let go. Like he has his controller, he let go of the analog stick and just just hold the shooting button, and it was just like lasering down range because he was testing it in the practice range, and that's a little bit concerning for me because the key thing that drew me into Battlefield in general, like when I first started in Battlefield 3, was how you had to control the guns in order for you to use it more efficiently. So you couldn't just like really just full auto it. It depends on the distance, right? If you're shooting up more than 50 meters out to 100, you're gonna have to pop shot it, right? You had to tap fire. If you're up close with a SMG, you could definitely full auto it and still hit, but from a distance you should not be able to hit targets that easily with full auto, whether it's LMG, an assault rifle, or just any gun. That one I felt a little bit concerned, but that's fixable. The same thing with the game's audio, that's fixable. Like they can obviously add in different sound environments, like in Battlefield 1 and 4, you can switch between like high res sound, or you can switch between war tape sound. I hope they do that in this game where war tape is an option, because that's really where it's at in terms of like immersion. I think control wise, or just on like a macro level, the game looks fine. Like there's the same chaos that you always have in any Battlefield game. Just a lot of action, a lot of explosions, a lot of movement, and just flanking. Then obviously there is the combined arms with aircrafts and ground vehicles and infantry. So they cut that down, like the core fundamental gameplay, they got down just right. So, it's not just all about infantry. It's all, it's about teamwork. And then, using infantry along with vehicles. So that's cool. I think the tanks look a little bit light. Like they move like really quick in terms of the way you drive and the way you aim. So I think that they need to add a little bit more weight and momentum to these vehicles so that they, feel like, you're actually driving a tank. But it looks fine to me right now. So it's not a huge thingy. As I said, there's a lot of the things that I'm looking at, or a lot of things that I have a little bit of concern, is like nitpicks essentially. But I'm pretty happy with the destruction. The video, as I said, the visuals look great. I think they could probably do some improvement with the way some of the environment, or like the buildings and stuff, look a little bit kind of shiny, but that's not a huge problem. Things should obviously look a little bit more matte and dusty, right? But it's not. Yeah. One thing I do gotta say is that they removed the weird sepia and blue color filter. Like they, remember Battlefield 3 looked all blue and Battlefield 4 looked all like brown sepia. This one just looks like, without much, without any huge filter. I think there's a little bit of brown tint to it, but they toned that down. So yeah, look, colors in here pop a little bit more. And then like environments that should look like war, like gray and gloomy and smoky, they look like they should, right? I think that's all fine. They did a pretty good job with the visuals, and the shadows and lighting. So The vehicles, I didn't get to see a whole lot of gameplay of that, but I think it looks like it's a lot more easier to control. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I would have to like literally sit down and play it myself. But yeah, I mean the release date is set for October 10th. If we get lucky, who knows? Maybe there might be some delays to try and scale up the servers to hopefully accommodate like a large surge in players. But I think that this game looks like it will probably attract a huge amount of players, just like BF1 did. I'm not sure if it'll reach the same numbers as BF1, but they marketed the game in a way where it is meant to attract a really wide audience, like to bring in, especially I wouldn't say necessarily casual players. I would say players just from a variety of other franchise or from other communities. So obviously they tuned it in a way where it's gotta be fun for players coming from like, I don't know, like COD or Fortnite or Counter-Strike or something. So there's less, and I can see why that they had to make it less realistic, and that's just like a smidgen, so that a lot of players can enjoy it. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a huge negative. I would say for me, first and foremost, is as long as you get a lot of players into the game, I think that matters the most, because keeping the game alive is the hard part. But yeah, they're obviously not gonna go more. I think it was just no way they were gonna go more milsim because that's you're going into a more niche territory, and that might draw players away. I was hoping the more gritty, a more like dark, and more like more realistic shooter. But I mean, Battlefield has always been an arcade shooter, just like COD, right? With realistic, I don't know, visuals or realistic depictions of weaponry and gadgets and vehicles. But at the end of the day, it's very fast paced and very chaotic, and there's no like, if I'm talking about like a tactical game, then we're talking like Squad, or we're talking like SWAT, or Ready or Not, or slow paced like Counter Strike. But that's not gonna fly in this type of game. There's gonna be all sorts of styles being used in the world, right? When you're playing a match, people are gonna play slow, people are gonna play fast pace, but it's just gonna be a variety, and that I think that's fine. But yeah, the Battlefield 3 has always been, and 4 has always been fairly fast paced games. If you've actually played in a match and people are like quick, we're talking about like jump out of a corner and just shoot you in the head type of deal. I think the last thing I want to point out is that there is a little bit of sliding mechanic. I know there's the rolling mechanic, but when I was watching the live stream today, I didn't see a whole lot of players abusing those mechanics. So there's probably some penalty with that. I know that you can run to prone pretty quickly in here, but I think that they added some sort of like aiming punishment system to prevent you from being able to laser while doing slide or proning mechanics, or just on your back sort of thing. So hopefully it's a little bit more, has probably like a little bit more closer towards the BF3 BF4 style. That'd be cool. I mean, I probably will be there during either early access, or obviously there's the open beta. I think early access is from the 7th to 8th, right? And then the open beta is from like 10th to 11th or something. But I know it's one of the weekends, like probably next weekend or something. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. We'll see. Yeah, early access is like next Thursday to Friday, and then the following Saturday, Sunday is the open beta, and then the next weekend after that, it's gonna be open beta for a full week. So everyone's gonna have the chance to play it, and you don't have to pre-order it to get in. It's an open beta. So I would say get in there, just play it out, and see how you like it. But I mean, so far it's looking good so far. I would say. I think that as long as it's sticking to the core game, conquest, large scale, and then just a lot of destruction and chaos, and a lot of teamwork oriented modes. And one last thing is that they do have some level of weapon customization. It's not gonna be like crazy detailed like Escape from Tarkov, and I don't think it's as much as like the gunsmith in COD, but I think there's at least like 5 different attachments you can customize, 5 to 6 from the gameplay I've seen, and they all have their own different stats and stuff. And then yeah, I think you have your limitation is how much it costs. You can't just equip all the best things because you have to pick and choose based off how much you can afford. So I'm curious to see how that goes. I'm obviously a big fan of being able to customize your weaponry or your characters, whatever equipment. But I don't think that they have equipment customization like on your character. Well, like the way you have your armor and stuff like that. But obviously you can choose your type of equipment like C4s and grenades and stuff like that for the gameplay itself. But aesthetically, I didn't see anything like that, but it's whatever. And then from what I know is that there is I mean we all know there's a campaign mode. You'll have to check out the trailer, the sort of the campaign trailer, or pretty much the first trailer with the cinematics. But that's gonna be interesting. Looks like some sort of Western Civil War going. I've played the campaigns of BF3, 4. I didn't really get to play a whole lot of 1, 5, and 2042, but I did enjoy playing the story. So there's gonna be a completely fresh take of the narrative of the game and the storyline. So obviously that'll be pretty interesting to see what happens with there. I'll probably do like a sort of single player run, and then later on play the multiplayer or something. But yeah. So looking forward to it. October 10th release date. And then the early August is gonna be the open beta. So probably try it out, see how it goes. Yeah, and then I would say still, like, my recommendation is don't pre-order right away. Just wait it out a month or so, and just watch streamers play, watch the YouTubers review, and just get a perspective from like all types of content creators. Like, what do they think? Just remember that there's gonna be a lot of streamers and YouTubers that will be partnered or sponsored. Some maybe a few hours for a day, some maybe for like a week, a month, a year, or just for over the course of whatever contract they have. So everyone's gonna have different opinions, and some of them, the ones that are sponsored or partnered, are gonna talk the positives of the game and may not offer like a huge amount of criticism of the game. So you gotta find multiple content creators and just scour to them and get different perspectives of the game. But I would say definitely, like, if you have never played Battlefield before, or if you're transitioning from another game, or you just, or even if you're a long-time Battlefield player, I would say just probably wait it out, right? And if, try the open beta and see if you like it. But I would wait until release. And for players that are completely new to the series, I would say give it a week at minimum and see what, how players are playing it. If you could wait a month, you'll know, like, if the game is worth it. Usually after a month, if, like, almost all the streamers and all the YouTubers are, they stop making content for this Battlefield 6 game, then you'll have an idea of whether it's something you want to buy into, right? Because, I mean, the game's going to be, what, like, either 70 or $80 on launch. So, you just want to make an informed decision when it comes to purchase that large. But yeah, I mean, for me, it looks fun overall. I think there's gonna be a lot of things to do in the game, and hopefully a lot of things to grind for. But yeah, I mean, Battlefield 6 end of this year. Hopefully you got your systems ready. Hopefully, because right now it's you can't. I mean, PS5, Xbox Series, and then PC are they're launching on those. I don't know about the other systems, but it's gonna be a pretty demanding game. So you probably have to get your upgrade going if you are still playing on the PS4 or the old Xboxes, or on a low end system. Unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, with these types of games, it's just gonna run heavy. But yeah. Anyways, that's all I have. And I was trying to keep it under 15 minutes, but we went to 37. But I mean, there's just a lot of things to cover from that. I didn't really get to talk about the portal mode and stuff like that, but I'm just, I don't know much about it, but I'm looking forward to see what the community has regarding that. Yeah, I mean, they have all the main modes that we want, so yeah, it's looking okay so far. I think they could have done a little bit better with the recoil system, and then the gun sounds, a little bit more improvement over that, but they still got into October to clean it up a bit. So, I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, that's all I have for today. But y'all have a good one, and have fun on the Battlefield once you get into the open beta. Peace.